Hello everyone, and welcome back to Bloodtales Hell Mode. The difficulty where truly anything can kill you, as seen by the scene before you. Last time we completed chapter 1. This time we go off to chapter 2 to defeat the Bionic Plant. As a reminder for the nature of this challenge, I have every single difficulty increasing card enabled, which means we are no longer allowed to super guard. We cannot. All guarding times are lessened. We also take double damage from everything, and we can't stay on menu for too long, or else we'll die from timeout, also known as the TikTok thing, which is gonna be more of an important thing later, because at the time you're recording this, I'm on chapter 3. And I am still on chapter 3. That's all you need to know. Anyway, let's go on to the first real battle to remind everyone the nature of Hell Mode. Because, as always, even mild enemies, like this setup, is considered an actual real challenge in this mode. For just a simple reason, the porcupine does all my health and damage, other than that the first time I encountered them, I had no HP. But the main important thing is the two mosquitoes, because something that you gotta keep in mind, we take 2 full turns to kill 1 mosquito if we don't use a dynamite, because we don't have the sword upgrade nor the ball upgrade, and the rocket boots won't be given to us until much later. So yeah, this is gonna be the first real hurdle we have to come across, because I always don't want to just leave them be. This is also a great time to go discuss a mechanic of this fight that will appear later as well, lifesteal. For that's the other reason why I say it takes 2 full turns. As in, if I don't use all my attacks to take care of one mosquito, when they go to strike me, due to lifesteal, he'll go back to full. Now normally it's not a problem, but here's the real thing. Well, guarding, as you saw there, makes them go back to full HP once more. This is for the simple fact that it is based off of the amount of damage that is dealt is converted into HP. It's a 1-to-1 system. And but the life stealing part, the HP conversion, is done after all of the damage increases. Just meaning that these mosquitoes are way tougher than they have any right to be, on the simple account that they will go back to full HP every single time. Along with the fact that, well, as stated previously, the porcupine is the one that we have to effectively daze to basically stop it from attacking. And this is the thing where I learned that the most effective strategy of dealing with these mosquitoes at current moment is to use Ace Ball with all the technology we have. Of course, in some of these attempts I did not use it because I was being silly. But, right, the third and final thing about the mosquitoes that I forgot to mention, the reason why taking 2 full turns isn't necessarily anything that's possible. They are considered quick in this scenario, in the sense of, usually how these turns go is that you, especially in solo mode specifically, you go first, you have your first turn, the special turn, and then you get a normal turn, and that happens consecutively. But with enemies that seem to be deemed quick, once you get your solo turn, then they attack, then you get your turn. And of course this is a problem on the simple account that the enemies do a lot of damage. They tend to, well, heal up after the first hit, because we can only do 2 damage, even blocks, they heal 4. Thus they go back to normal. But with that said, then we talk to the talking block and finally get to the town, Tortiopolis, where we finally get to encounter our main enemy of this chapter, Griefor. As we go through a quick section of levels where I flawless it perfectly, we now finally enter our first real battle against the Komodo Dragon. And of course, as it has been the case for every other major encounter, it appears I have a trend of starting with low stats and then promptly getting beaten up because of it, as you'll quickly see right then and there. So yeah, this is one of those times where, alright then, so let's re-gear up and try again. I think the worst part of all that was like, I didn't need to go in with no health. The healing pad was right there, I just missed it for some reason. But you win some, you lose some. But yeah. So basically, the Komodo Dragon fight is very interesting, for it's definitely the promise of future battles to come, with 3 abilities. The first one I'll always start off of, Venom Bite, which is a high damaging move that poisons you as well if you don't block it. It will be a bit of a problem, but not as dangerous for me compared to its second move, Tail Smack, which it does right after a growl, which apparently just gives it double horns. So, yeah. This is definitely gonna be a world block for us for a time, as I try different things. For this is also, I think, the fourth enemy in the game to be immune to daze, which basically means that our normal strategy is out the window from here on out. So, yeah. I do believe in this is Battle Third, so you'll see that I definitely tried several times, and also I think quite a bit of restock. More accurately, I decided to buy something that would be very important. Specifically, I believe for this battle, I bought the green chili pepper from the food stand, which gives us a +2 to attack while burning us. Usually this would be a problem, because burning yourself is not really that useful, but with the fact that we're probably not surviving a strong enough hit after a point, it seemed like a valuable tactic right here, since we just need to go break down the Komodo Dragon's HP bar more so than survive. I also died to a lot of the random encounters because, remember, I still have all of the difficulty cards equipped, which means that I still can't guard. Everything does the insane amount of damage to me, and it's kind of like this. So, yeah. But anyway, after enough diversions, we finally make it back to the Komodo Dragon and begin making more attempts. Well, after resetting my cards up, I then begin the plan of basically using the first turn to usually set up both peppers and then attacking with either. I think I use a dynamite for my opening move attack to do the most amount of damage and set both on fire and the 2 times attack damage. So yeah, well, at least that was the idea. I don't actually remember if I copied the idea or not. Well, if it comes to like using both of them. How I'm recording is that usually I complete the video like some time ago, and then I basically go back to voice recording. I will also point I don't have a script, so I'm just going off of memory as well as what I'm all seeing in the recording itself. With one exception that you'll see, because Well, let us... I mean, spoil also things. Let us it took in many medals to figure out how to deal with something out the full power of everything. But, with that being all said and done, here is the full attempt against the Komodo Dragon. And yeah, I definitely didn't keep to the green-purple strategy. So yeah. See ya once the battle's over. Yeah, in hindsight, I probably should have just attacked at the end there. Don't really know what I was thinking at the time. Probably wanted to be safe, more safe than sorry, since I think the Komodo, I think at the time I thought the Komodo Dragon at the time was a quick being. Like I said earlier with mosquitoes, well, it would have attacked in between my turns, so I wanted this to be cautious and use an item, since items take the priority over everything else. If you use an item, even a being that usually would move in between your own turns, will be delayed for the item turn. Summons, by caveat, are the exact opposite, where you're basically going dead last to call in the summon. Although that doesn't count if it's your first turn from as your solo player. So yeah, interesting mechanics. Either way, we finally get the rocket boots, which is a very useful item for it not only decreases defense by one stage, also sets things on fire. Meaning that we don't necessarily need to use things like Epic Sauce or the Red Pepper anymore. So yeah. So that, we now move on to our first battle with Griefer. So just as the gorilla that Griefer has apparently hired takes away the fossil, as it has been pointed out in the story. Let's begin this battle of here and now. Of course, after he states that the siblings and the boss, that aka Nubador, was apparently hired by him to take care of Seletsky. Although still, the question raises, is that really true? Or likely, did one of you actually defeat Seletsky, or was it someone else? Of course, we tell him that Seletsky is alive, and that he believes you're a liar. And that starts the battle, if possible. So then, Griefer is the first boss to have defense. This is a very important thing because, well, defense is indeed a stat that exists. It's definitely not more important for low-level attacks or on S later on. You'll see what I mean once we get to the final battle here. But Griefer still hits quite hard. And this was the bad thing of when I was using both couples to our advantage and starting with Iron Knight. So yeah. But of course, even with that and everything repaired, we will still defeat. We still force us to use a revive. Yeah, the great thing that the revive hasn't been nerfed yet to be -1 attack. Although I don't actually know if it's gonna be all that big of a deal, since I think most of the damage from heal is just gonna be from fire damage alone. So we should be fine on that part. Another thing though is that he's still weak to days, unlike Komodo Dragon, meaning that coin skipping is a valid strategy here. For any time the opponent does not get to attack, the better it is for us generally. And of course trying out the green tea, but I mean, the green tea is useful, don't get me wrong, but I don't necessarily know it's useful for little things, mainly because of just how other things play out. But besides the point, we go up and fight and basically nearly end this battle really quickly, honestly. Of course, we lost nearly ends us quickly, just as quickly. And with a quick pineapple, as well as the... Actually, did I use the tea heal? Yeah, I did use tea. Never mind. No, I forgot that I tried to use the tea, but I got dazed. Again, I think Grief also got dazed as well, which means Torrent skipped, and all that happened was that he took fire damage, which is great for us. And not great for us is that we got dazed again. But that battle's basically over now, since he'll do a charge into fire damage, ending the battle in the first attempt. And with that, along with Griefer leaving after that, we go get our upgraded Swordstone by Bigfoot, commencing a battle on the main coach tree. Now, comparatively to the Griefer fight, Bigfoot was definitely a lot more a harder battle. This is probably due to the nature of Bigfoot is the first person to really introduce us to multi-attacking moves outside of generic mobs, with its Gloss for Bloxian ability, along as they'll various that one and Super Slam. Yeah, Super Slam is definitely probably what I'd say is the most dangerous ability, just because it's part of the list of moves that are already in same amount of damage in base game, being amplified via the damage amplifiers. And since it's unlikely for us to actually guard these attacks due to how slim the timing is, and the fact that I am still bad at the game, it definitely does lead to many failed attempts, as you are seeing. So, but of course, Bigfoot also has one more move besides Vine Swing, which honestly, despite how often I probably got hit by it, I wouldn't really consider it that much dangerous of a move, since I believe it's part of the list of moves where you can guard it, and you don't need to super guard to just take no damage. A regular guard can just prevent you from taking any damage to begin with, at least with the layer swings. But of course, with a change up of some items, time we discussed, like I wanted to note the last move. I think it was Big Fury, the Fury move. I think it was Fury Stomp. Well, there's a telegraph charging mechanic, which is basically the first of its kind. Because while you could say growl from the Komodo Dragon, or now Cool King never did anything like that. He did the Ice Stab, the Scepter Freeze, and then he called help into the healing order. He never did a charge up into a strong move before. Bigfoot's really the first one to actually do this. Apparently, Komodo Dragon was what I'd consider the first person to have multiple horns. By apparently, for comparison's sake. Which, yeah, let's hope none of this is gonna come up later. I mean, of course, I guess Weefor actually did have a charge move, but we didn't really get to see it in action before the battles are over. So yeah, Bigfoot would be my first time experiencing it. So yeah. Anyway, I'll discuss more about the Weefor round 2 once it happens. For now, enjoy the rest of the fight. And so, with Bigfoot down, we finally get our sword upgraded, along with an infinite number of mangoes, which could be useful for just a good like healing outside combat thing. We now finally can go into the final battle with Weefor. Something not shown to you in this video, but definitely other cons, is the fact that first, the tree golems and the poison whistles, what they're called, are very strong. And in fact, I struggled very highly getting up to this point. But, so basically this for context was like, yeah, and I didn't really expect the Griefer fight to be any easier compared to anything else, but I mean, I guess as we've seen from the Cruel King area, the final guards of the boss are just as dangerous, if not more so, than the main threats. I mean, and we'll see that soon with Weefor himself. With the Venom Sink in hand, he now has a completely different moveset from what he used to have. So he would still do Crowbar strikes and the such, but he would also be throwing in the Venom Sink for extra measures as some of his very first attack, where he immediately knocks me into mortal condition. If I had Aggressor on, I would be dead. But that's something that a Minimize can't solve. And yeah, Weefor compared to the last fight where I don't want him like charging at all, really. This fight he really does start using that charge ability more often. But the other thing to know is that, yeah, with Weefor and Bigfoot having the defense, it's about time I start talking about defense. Well, maybe I should actually wait for Blue Bar's plan itself, because that's where it truly matters. But yeah. So, there isn't really a lot for me to say about the Weefor fight. Besides, he does a lot of damage, as shown by that. Even Midnight is still 8 damage swings. And, well, we just don't really have the health to survive 8 damage swings. And that's basically all you need to know about that. As well as with the poison and stats conditions, which, I mean, if the Cruel King fight didn't show you that being hit by a stats condition was pretty much bad enough, I'm pretty sure Chapter 2 would be the real demonstration of all that. Well, yeah, if you get hit by a stats condition, you're basically done with. So, yeah, never get hit by stats conditions at all. especially ones that were to stop you from moving. After all, if it goes effective strategies on the enemy is to stop them from having thorns, the same kind of goes with you. And I'm not going to lie here and spoil, as going to spoil you this now. We don't win this fight, for we just don't have the setup for it. Which means you have to go buy new items and try again. But yeah, the next few fights don't go well for us either. For while we might buy new items and things, the same fundamental problem still stands. With Gleeful doing so much damage, it's pretty easy for us to go down in 3 to 2 turns. If only we had a way to revive twice, then maybe this would have gone easier, but we don't. In fact, we won't be getting that for, well, for another chapter actually, fun fact. You actually get a revive from mob drops, but sadly not anything from here. So, after trying to figure out this kind of what to do next, because we here, this fight definitely was a struggle. Definitely a massive step up from his previous fight without the Venom Tank. I guess how this kind of shows you the power of the swords, I guess. Wizzy, he was kind of a nothing battle that I lost over, and now he is beyond our biggest threat yet. But with every threat, eventually we do break through it, and I'll show you what's of that battle. luckily for us, we don't have to go play Leaf anymore. For now, Bubonic Plant has entered the stage. And now this is basically the culmination of everything defense means in this game. For with one defense, you can counter truly any one damage attack, as shown by my failure to use the rocket boots. For since I mistimed it, instead of defense down or born, we do 0 damage and wasted 3 MP, meaning that we can't rely on that from here on out. And I think Bubonic Plant might actually be immune to daze as well. Well, at very least it's immune to poison, so we can't rely on that. Although, let's be real here, how often are you really poisoning something until you get venom sting? I assume not often. But even with all that, Bubonic Plant definitely has a few noteworthy attacks. For the most noteworthy ones are definitely opening moves, Tentacle Strikes, which for some reason are really hard for me to dodge. And there's also the Fury moves. The Bubonic Plant's main thing is consistent and constant multi-attacking. I think it only has one single target move, the Big Bite, which is basically the current champion of doing the most amount of damage in one turn. There's also this move, Plant Rush, which is a large consecutive amount of attacks. But now, here's everything. For you see, it's time to finally discuss how damage works in Block Tales. And this fight is basically the evolution of all this. For you see, if you were to just simply have no defense and the damage ups, all the attacks will do 4 damage, as you saw there, because it's 1 damage times 2 again. But what if you had a defense increase of some sort, like a +1, for example? Well, now, if some people might think, oh, it'll go from 4 damage to 3, because that would be because it'll be 1, 2, 4, -1. But no, the correct answer is 0. For the defense increase takes priority over the damage amplifiers of the difficulty modifiers, which means force goes the attack, damage subtracted by the defense level, which by and please is a lot more than simply a -1 to attack. I'm fairly certain it might be like -2. There was a few niche cases where it's like it does. There's definitely a few attacks where it's like, that feels like it does more damage than I expected. I actually counted that attack. Wild. Then it's probably because in my normal playthrough I also had defense up because I realized how strong it actually is. But another thing do not forget, Defender. Defender's a very strong one, which I mean, while yes, having 2 defense is overkill, because the thing to keep in mind is with 2 defense, you not only counter Plant Rush, which is the most important one here, because it means it wastes a turn charging up to do nothing, allowing you to have 2 free turns of doing literally anything else. And as we already discussed, if a creature can't do anything, then you have the advantage there. Now, with +2 defense, you can actually stop the Acid Wave dead on its tracks. Although, with +1 defense and good guarding, you can do the same effect, so there's not really, for this battle at least, a reason to have +2 defense. Maybe if there was another attack that was 3 segments that caused confusion or something, that just so happens to do enough damage to where guarding would only to make it 4, but unless you had a defense up or lower their attack down. Maybe a combination of the two would work better though. Then maybe you'll be on to something. But we're not on that battle. We're on this one. So after the setup, we're now on to the final act. And that was all of Chapter 2 complete. Outside of one super boss, well, you'll get to see that, along with the pit, up to floor 30 in the next episode. Now, you might be wondering why we're doing the pit right now instead of Chapter 3, and, well, let's just say the final boss of Chapter 3 is in a whole league of their own. Like, I'm gonna be serious with you here. I'm pretty sure the next chapter's final boss will be easier for me to beat than this one is. The Chapter 3 final boss is not meant to be... That doesn't really feel like it was meant to be fun, such a challenge. For I basically have to learn entirely different attack patterns and things. But, till next time, for that, see you next week.